This is John Dollar of Prayer Builders. We're in 1 Timothy. We're in chapter 1. And we are, let's go ahead and read here. We'll start reading at verse 5, and then we're going to work our way down to verse 7. It says, "Now the purpose of the commandment is love from a pure heart, from a good conscience, and from sincere faith." Man, we need pure love and we need genuine faith because they work. They will always work. They will change our situation every time and people around us. It says, from which some, what? From which some having strayed. What have they strayed from? Faith and love. What have some strayed from? They've strayed from faith and love, from which some have strayed. They've missed the mark. They got away from what they should be doing, and they have turned aside to idle, random talk. And we do not want to go there. We do not want to go there. When faith and love, I bared down on that yesterday. When faith and love is your primary motivators, it's going to affect everything, and it will affect the words coming out of your mouth. If you're walking in love towards your wife, you're not going to just fire away random words at her. I mean, there might be some things that maybe one day you used to say, but when you're walking in love, you won't say those things. You know. If you're married, you know what words will push your spouse's button. You know what word will push your spouse's button. And anyway, I don't even know why I said that. But let's keep on going here. It says, from which some, having strayed, have turned aside to idle talk, random talk, vain jangling. And then it says this. Now, this is kind of something. Now, it says, desiring to be teachers of the law. And then he said, understanding neither what they say nor the things which they affirm. Basically, there's a whole bunch of people wanting to teach, and they have no idea what they're teaching. They have not spent time. They've not spent time in the scriptures. They haven't spent time in you get teachings from books, you get teachings from videos, but I am telling you, the thing that affects and causes pure love in you and causes genuine faith, it's gonna come from your personal relationship with God. Your time with Him influencing you, talking to you, speaking to you. And right now, this is all needed for these days we're living in. This is really important. Say, right here, when he talked about this, I had a couple of other references because he's saying that these people, he's talking about, and I believe, back up in verse 3, at the end of verse 3, this is where Paul, I'm just kind of bringing this up again because it's time. Paul's been on this same subject here from verse 3 down. He says, as I urged you when I went into Macedonia, remain in Ephesus, that you may charge some that they teach no other doctrine. They shouldn't be just teaching random things. They need to be teaching the Bible. They need to be teaching scriptures. And he was focused on that. He was literally telling Timothy to basically step up and be the leader to these other people who are doing the very things we're talking about. And then that has continued, and that's still who we're talking about down in verse 7. He's talking about these people, charging them that they teach no other doctrine. Who? These ones down in verse 7, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor the things which they affirm. Now, one thing that's funny is my wife, she does a good job of balancing me out. there was something that happened. I mean, there's one thing that frustrates me. If you've actually got a message in you, I mean, if you're a minister and you got a message in you that burns, it's like one of your things. You can tend to get irritated if other people don't teach it. Now with me, one of the things, I mean, I've got several things. I mean, there's like several things that are very strong in me. And I mean, I can go through and I mean, I will teach. I mean, I've pastored for so many years. I'll teach on a whole bunch of subjects, but there's some of them that really burn in me. And then especially with this day that we're living in and time's running out, I will get frustrated when I see people these days not even touching the subject of end time events like ever. And I'm not meaning that they have to really get up and teach on prophecy, but I mean, even if I'm not teaching on end time events, you're going to still hear me say sometime probably, make a reference to saying Jesus is coming. And then whenever I say that, I mean, my wife, those are words that when she hears those words coming out of me, she'll correct me. And she's corrected me more than once. She'll say, John, she'll say probably the reason a lot of these people don't teach on it is because they haven't been taught and they don't really know what to teach. And she said if they don't know what to teach, they're better off not saying anything about it and just leaving it and teach them what they do know. And I mean, you could apply that same thing to faith and to healing and to anything you can think of. Gifts of the Spirit, anything you can think of. If you don't know it, and just, you don't have to go there. But the thing is, the frustration with me is, we're supposed to, if we're ministers, we're supposed to study to show ourselves approved unto God before men, and we should be into this. But, I mean, this is our job. This is our job. This is what we know. I mean, and it's like just like a doctor has to go to school before he can be doing open heart surgery, and he needs to know his things. I don't want him operating on me if he doesn't know his things. I don't want a doctor doing anything to me if he's just got some certificate on the wall and he doesn't actually know how to do what he's supposed to do. But anyway, my wife, she's encouraged me in this quite a bit. But I want to read you, because he touched on, I had a couple other verses that I dropped down here in my notes that I wanted to look at. In 2 Timothy chapter 3, he actually covers, this is in the next letter of Timothy, he actually covers things here. He actually talks about people. In his next letter, Paul's probably picking up, it's probably some of these same people that he was dealing with in chapter 1 in some degree, or someone like them. He referred to these people as having a form of godliness. This is in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5, of some of these people having a form of godliness, but denying its power. From such turn away. And then he goes and gets right into verse 6. You can see how they're misusing the place where they're trying to walk as a teacher. It says, "For these are the sort who creep into houses and make captives of gullible women, loaded down with various sins and led away by various lusts." And then he says, and then he says this in verse 7. He says, "Always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth." These people were always learning, and they were never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now, right now, you're only gonna get to know. You're only gonna get the knowledge of the truth by getting pure word. You need to be getting, you just need to go to the source. There's all kind of water you can drink. Yeah, I mean, you can get all kinds of water. I mean, depending on just where you live in your town, you can probably have Culligan or one of these other places come in and they'll probably give you a free water test trying to sell you something and they'll show you what's in your water. But there's all kind of water you can drink. But there was one place that my wife and I lived. We actually lived on a farm for several years. We rented it. It was way out at the end of a valley road here around where we live here in Minnesota. And we had a creek that went by the back of our house, and it came up pretty close to the back of our house. Well, what was so cool? There was a spring, and you could literally cross over, get on the other side of the creek, and then go back, and it was probably it was back more in the wooded area. You could follow the creek back, and it would come up to this big hill, and right down. I mean, the creek would you follow it back, and then you got up to this rocky bed, and then right there was a hole, and water was just pouring out like a faucet. It was just water was just coming out of there. It was a pure spring. And then I mean, when I saw that, I was able to you were able to step down in there because the water wasn't really deep right there. But you was able to step down in there, and I got down in there and I actually cupped my hands together and I was just drinking pure water. And that water, I mean, that's what we need to be getting. We just don't need to be getting taught anything. We need to be getting taught what this word said. And when Paul used that phrase, he actually, when he was describing that phrase I mean, you'll see what happens. People that are teaching in this manner that Paul's trying to correct, the result is having a bunch of people connected to them who are always learning, but they're never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Well, you need to come to the knowledge of the truth. Jesus said back in John chapter 8, verse 30 or 31 and 32, he said that if you are my disciples, he says, well, here, let's just go back, and I'll be closing off of this one, but I got to read this. Let's just go back here to John so we can see it, and then it'll get up on the screen. John chapter 8, verse 31 and 32. I was starting to quote it backwards. Let's go here. John 31 and 32. It says at verse 31, it says, "Then Jesus said to those Jews who believed on him, he said, if you abide in my word." Now that word abide means to live in, to dwell in my word, and it also means to continue in it. Continue in it and keep going in it. Directly, what? Just random word? No, my word. Keep getting into my word directly. He says, if you abide in my word, he said, you are my disciples indeed. And he says, and you will know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Well, literally, he's not just saying that just the truth makes you free. If you got a Bible, you got the truth. It's the knowledge of the truth that makes you free. He said that if you continue in my word, just keep going in my word, keep going in my word, keep going in my word. And then he says, and you will know the truth, and the knowledge of that truth is going to free you in every area. It'll free everything. Everything, anything that you are thinking of, any area that you want to be impelled into the kingdom, freed up, loosed up, able to go and take it, able to go possess it. And it's founded in, I mean, this is what separates the believers from the people who are totally free. I mean, he said he was saying this to all the ones that believed on him. So he's not referring to the Pharisees. He's saying this to the believers that believed on him. He's saying, hey, all of you that believe, do you believe on me? How many of you believe on me? All these hands go up. Okay, How many of you want to be free now? Like in every area. And then he said, this is how you do it. You got to stay in my word. You got to stay in my word. You got to stay in my word. You do not want to be part of the ever learning crowd that's not able to get the knowledge of the truth, because the knowledge of the truth makes you free. So I hope this was a blessing to you. We're going to move on. We will be back tomorrow, and I just got to remind you of this. God loves you, we love you, and Jesus is coming back.